I said that I'd seen someone familiar, someone sort of reasonably well known had come to my club night. And the first thing I thought was, how do I know you? Have I slept with you? And I said to my friend, don't you think that sometimes? And she went, no, it's only you. I went, oh my God.
Hello, I am Kay Anderson, and you are listening to Lost Spaces, a podcast that mourns the death of queer nightlife. Every episode, I talk to a different person about a venue from their past, the memories they created there, and the people that they used to know. DJ Jo Bunny plays regularly on the London queer scene and co-runs her own night called Lavender Nights with DJ Gareth Hackney. We caught up to talk about Ace of Clubs, a long-forgotten lesbian bar which ran from the mid-80s until the mid-90s in London.
I call it the queer scene and the gay scene. So I was out on the gay and lesbian scene from 1989. And then I disappeared off to America in 2004, came back to England in 2006, hit the queer scene. I decided that I didn't want to do the clubs in Soho. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be somewhere where I didn't have to wear the latest fashions. It was an image, and it was all about, it seemed to be very false. Although I had a really good time, the Soho scene seems very false. It's all about your image. Can seem very sort of, oh, hello, darling, mwah, mwah, it doesn't seem right. Whereas I will be on the queer scene now, people will greet you with a big hug. They're genuinely interested in what you're talking about. You can sit in the corner of the pub and be bar and be miserable, and they would just leave you alone. Or they would talk to you, or they put their arm around you, and it's a genuine sort of family that I've built up. Also, the queer scene has allowed me to start doing my DJing and everything. Mm-hmm. I started that Bar Whatever in 2006, and I haven't stopped. So I'm still DJing at the age of 50.
Brilliant. So are there any other distinctions that you have between the gay and lesbian scene and the queer scene?
I think there's more cruising, there was more pressure to be with people. And I think it was also an image. When I first came out, you had to have a certain image. Well, I thought you had to have a certain image. So as somebody who was coming out as gay, lesbian in 1989, you had to have the leather jacket, you had to have the DMs, you had to have the stonewashed jeans, you had to have pinky ring, you had to have one ear pierced, and you had to wear a labris.
A what?
A labris is it looks like a cross, and being Jewish, I wasn't very comfortable with wearing it. But it's some sort of Sapphic sign, and my friends are listening to this podcast now, and they're going, you don't have a clue what you're talking about, do you? But it was some sort of Sapphic thing. So if you're wearing a labris, it meant that you were a lesbian. So you'd have a labris, one ear, and a pinky ring. They were all signs, so it was a secret sign. And you don't get these days.
Yeah. Were there any additional messages if you had it on a particular hand or a particular ear?
Yes.
Ooh, tell me more.
I think it was the left hand, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it was left. So someone would see you with a pinky ring on your left hand. They would see a earring. Or you had odd earrings, but there always seemed to be one little extra. In your left ear.
Up high or up?
High, or just one earring, or a dangly earring with a labris, or some sort of Sapphic sign, and then you'd have the labris necklace.
And so, but
and
it
your
wasn't
DMs.
like a submissive. Oh no, what's the opposite of submissive? I want to say aggressive.
Not no.
So it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like a passive.
Passive submissive.
Other.
It was just like a little. It was like a uniform.
It was
That's
just,
what it was
talk
like.
to
It was
me.
like a uniform. And of course, you had to have short hair as well.
Mm-hmm.
There were hardly any women who were what they called lipstick lesbians. The
Yeah.
lipstick lesbians stood out.
Yeah.
They really did. And I see these women all over the place still. They're all around. And some of them still look like they did 30 years ago. There were the lipstick lesbians, but there was a lot of uniform. There was a lot of leather jackets.
Yeah.
And I just went for it. I did the full-on DMs, read the appropriate books. So there was a list of books that you would have to read. It was The Colour Purple, The Well of Loneliness, anything by the publisher, was it Virago? And then you had to go and shop in Silver Moon. And then there was Sister Wright in Hackney. So Silver Moon was in Charing Cross and Sister Wright was in Hackney, and that was a more rebellious anarchy type place.
And so, what kind of shops were they?
Bookshops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bookshops. So you had to read certain books.
Yeah. Before you were allowed into the club.
It was like a passage.
Was there a membership card?
And
What
you had
was
to
your
listen
number?
to certain music as well.
Oh, wait. This is what I want to talk
Yes.
about. So who was on that list?
Oh, Katie Lang,
Okay, brilliant.
Joan Armatrading.
Was Melissa Etheridge?
Yes, Melissa Etheridge. Joan Armatrading had, and it was officially true, according to the lesbians, that she had slept with Valerie Singleton,
Oh, who's that?
the woman from Blue Peter.
Oh, okay.
It was official. It was official, and every lesbian was heartbroken when Valerie Singleton said, "No, actually, I've never slept with a woman."
Aw.
So the music you would listen to was Katie Lang, Joan Armatrading, Melissa Etheridge, and various American folky, punky people. There was someone called Frank who did a song about Martina Navratilova. Anything that Martina Navratilova did was gospel.
Obviously.
So it was a sort of a set playlist, a set number of books that you had to read, a look, and you had to go through it. When I came out, I flew out the cupboard, the closet,
Yeah.
just flew out.
Because what you haven't mentioned now is the leather trousers.
Yes, yes, and the leather trousers.
I've seen evidence.
The leather trousers I didn't wear for a couple of years, probably. But I didn't realise in some scenes wearing leather trousers obviously means you're into BDSM and everything, and I wasn't then.
Then, ooh.
I wasn't. You can cut the then out. But I wasn't then, back then.
Yeah.
So the leather trousers just became part of the image, and it was this very sort of butch sort of image. And the funny thing is, I don't consider myself butch.
Yeah, and because that's the thing. Like, so when you first come out on a scene, there's a kind of comfort in like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I should be conforming in order for these people to accept me. But that only works for like up to a point, doesn't it?
Yes, it only works up to a point, and then you realise what the bloody hell am I doing? I'm doing a sheep thing.
Yeah.
And it was part of me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't me. And then I started going out with people that didn't do the uniform.
Yeah.
So I kind of just drifted away from it a little bit.
Yeah. And so this is whilst we're still in the distinction between the queer scene and the gay and lesbian scene. This is while you're still on the gay and lesbian scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my little shiny moment over there.
So in terms of that, taking off the war paint.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good
sorry.
description, war paint. Yeah, definitely.
Were there any difficulties with doing that? Did you lose any friends or?
No, not by that time, because I was out on the scene. I knew a lot of people, and gradually my friends stopped doing the war paint. uniform thing as well.
Yeah.
I think it was a sort of 80s, mid-80s to, well, mid-80s, sort of about 90. I kind of came in on the back of the Butch Dykes and the Rebel Dykes and all those sort of the women that are sort of 4 or 5 years older than me.
Yeah. And so do you think then that you and your friends moved away from that because you were older and becoming more confident, or was it more of that the scene was changing?
The scene changed. Yeah, definitely the scene changed, and the old school dykes were starting to disappear. And what you found was that there were younger people coming out on the scene. Well, to me, they seemed like they were young at that point, but there was more individuality. Mm-hmm. There was more of the lipstick lesbians were coming out. There wasn't that butch femme divide from sort of the 1950s anymore. And when you go out onto the women's scene now, it's very much, it's individual.
Yeah.
You don't look at that person and go, oh, they're a butch, or they're a femme.
Yeah.
People are they've just turned up.
Yeah, because the fetishization of femme doesn't happen so much anymore, does it? Obviously, I have a different perspective on this.
It does happen.
Okay.
There are nights that are specifically for femmes. There's a night that I do with the Whatever World people, and that's called Female Masculinity Appreciation Society, and that's for people that appreciate female masculinity.
Yeah.
So that could be butch, it could be trans, it could be, it could be anything of the non-binary sort of, I don't know, if female masculinity basically.
Yeah.
So that's kind of harping back to the old days, and that really works. That really, and I think that's partly it as well. I think people like memory stuff a lot, because I like reminiscing about my old club days when I was coming out and everything.
And so could you talk a bit more about Butch Dykes and what that means?
Well, I've been told that I was butch, as I said, and I totally disagree with it.
But as
I think I was boyish, but not butch, because there was a sort of different
distinction.
So you had the old Butch Dykes. The old school would wear the suits and the ties and everything like that. So that's what you would have for the Butch Dykes, so they were called. And then you maybe had people like me that weren't butch and they were kind of boyish. We had the short hair, we had the DMs and everything. Some people would have thought I was butch. Other people just looked at me and went, pfft, I just thought it was. And then, what was the question again?
Well, I guess, so I was asking about Butch Dyke as a scene.
There was definitely a clear Butch Dyke thing going on, but it wasn't a particular scene. Most lesbians looked like that back then. But then you had a clear distinction where you had the lipstick lesbians as well, and then you had the ones few in the middle that didn't really fit into either sort of thing. But a lot of it was if you went to club nights, it wasn't so much, it was kind of waning off when I started going out to like Ace of Clubs and places like that. So that was
good segue.
It was a good segue. it was kind of, the butch femme thing was starting to disappear then, but it was very much there.
Very prominent.
It was very prominent, and as I said, I did the uniform. I did all that.
So you've very, very professionally taken us to Ace of Clubs. Sorry, that should have been my job. Tell me about that place. By that question, I mean, like, where was it? What did it look like? What kind of size was it?
It was Piccadilly, and it was in the Burlington Arcade, and it was a very small club, actually. It wasn't big at all. And you would go downstairs, and it was very much of that. When I came out, sort of 89 time, you still had the tail end of the clubs, the old school gay clubs and queer clubs, where you had to go downstairs or knock on doors and everything, and it was all that very old sort of hidden gay scene. And I think this is my opinion, that Ace of Clubs was kind of at the end of that era of hidden gay clubs and everything, because then you already had Heaven, but then all the others started popping up sort of early 90s. And now when you go to Soho, you walk past clubs and everything, and they've got a huge rainbow flag outside. You couldn't have had that at the Ace of Clubs. You just couldn't have had it. During the week, so it was weekly. It was on a Saturday. So every Saturday I was there. And during the week it was a gentleman's club. So,
By gentleman's club, do we mean a strip club or?
I don't know if it was a strip club, but it was very much the old gentlemen would hang out there. As far as I know, yes, sort of strip club.
Smoking cigars.
Smoking cigars, sort of thing.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was all sort of red velvet all over in the main part by the floor. So it wasn't particularly big. It was much smaller. If anybody's gone to the RVT, Vauxhall Tavern, it was smaller than the Vauxhall Tavern.
Okay.
Yeah, it's much smaller than that. The dance floor was really small.
Oh.
And very cosy.
Oh.
So you'd have booths round one side of the dance floor. So you'd walk in, the DJ would be immediately on your left. I'm no good with left and right. So the DJ would be immediately on the left, and then you'd have the dance floor in front of you and the bar up the far end. But down the side, you would have these kind of crescent booths type areas where people or the friends would gather. And you would have people that would claim those. And for quite a while, I had the booth that was just on the left-hand side of the DJ. That was my booth.
And so it was one night a week. What night of the week was it?
Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Saturday night.
That's interesting then. 'Cause
Yeah.
the gentleman's club, I would presume.
It wasn't on a
would
Saturday,
have-
no.
yeah.
That was handed over to the lesbians on the Saturday night.
And did any confused gentlemen show up?
No, because they had very good security.
Okay.
So it was a very small door. It was kind of, as I said, it was on Piccadilly. It was off Piccadilly in the Burlington Arcade, but it was very hidden. So you had to know where it was. It was a bit of a Harry Potter moment, you know. So you'd go into the arcade. Literally, it was right at the beginning. You didn't have to walk miles, and it would be there, and it would be on your right hand side, and it was a little door.
And there'd be a person there scoping
there
you
was
out,
security.
do you have a pinky ring?
Are you a gold star lesbian? There would be security, and there I remember a very sort of well-built woman. You didn't mess with her, and I don't know if she ran the club or she was just a door person. She was very strict. And I clearly remember this woman at the door deciding, if you were suitable to come in and making sure that you knew it was a lesbian night and everything. And then you'd go down the stairs. So it's we're talking nearly 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But this is the main bit that I know. And you'd get onto the dance floor. Dance floor would get very hot and sweaty. And of course you could smoke then, so your clothes would stink.
Oh,
by
and
the
your
end of the
hair
night.
as well.
They would stink.
And so do you remember the first time you went there?
Yeah, I do remember the first time I went there. It was the first time. So my first women only night was Fallen Angel, around the back of Angel Station, which isn't there. And I remember, and I think I had the same reaction walking in there that I did at the Fallen Angel, which was, oh my God, where all these women come from.
Yeah.
I'm in paradise.
I'll have you.
Yes.
And you.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll get on to that later. And that was it. It's just walking in and hearing the music and realising that there were only women in there.
Yeah.
And loving it. But by that time I was out. I'd come out. I was confident. I would tell anybody who wanted to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to know my coming out story?
Yes, come on.
I knew there was something different about me for years and years and years. And I got really upset because I grew up in Portsmouth. I didn't know any gay people.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting engaged to a very nice solicitor.
Ah.
He was lovely, but I didn't love him.
Yeah.
I loved him, but as a friend.
Yeah.
I wasn't in love with him. And I knew that there was something going on. Didn't feel right at all. And he ended up getting married and having 4 kids, so it definitely wasn't for me. And I moved to London, so I got a job at the BBC, and I met some wonderful people at the BBC, and surprise, surprise, there were gay people at the BBC.
No.
No. And I met this wonderful guy called William, and if he's listening to this, I hope he is, because I'd love to get in touch with him again. And he was from Inverness, and he had a very squeaky voice and Scottish, really strong Scottish squeaky voice, and he was lovely. And I suddenly realised I was with William one night, and I went, you know what? Because he'd come out to me as gay, and I went, I think. And that was it. And so I came out to William, and then I came out to myself and came out to others.
And so how old were you at this time?
I was, when I officially came out, I was 19, 20. So, yeah, I was 20 and, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's why I had all that energy and bounced out the closet. I'm here.
So you came out with gusto.
I did. That's it. So I came out, and then I started going to, and a lot of these places I'm going to mention, they've all closed. And so I started going to Gay's the Word, which thank God is still going.
Yeah.
And they had a lesbian discussion group, which is still going.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's still going. And I keep on thinking of going back. I ended up going to this discussion group, and it was on a Wednesday night, and you'd sit round and you would discuss relationships, polyamory, breaking up, family, coming out, a real tragic subject sometimes. And I came out and started going to the bookshop and slept with quite a few people in the bookshop.
In the bookshop or from the bookshop?
From the bookshop.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
No, not in the bookshop, because that had been disrespectful to the books. I don't think Gay's the Word people would appreciate it either. So, yeah, I slept with quite a few people, and quite a few of them were really good friends of mine now, like very good friends.
Yeah.
We used to go to the bookshop on a Wednesday, and then after we'd had our hours discussion, we would go off for a drink at a bar near you. It was like, whatever the nearest bar was. When I first started going there, the Lesbian and Gay Centre was still open. So we would go to the Orchid Bar or something, which was the women's bar in the Lesbian and Gay Centre. And then we started going to different sort of places. So that was it. But basically, that was my pickup. That was my first pickup place. And then one day we were discussing, the topic was relationships or something like that. And I looked around the room. Yeah, close your ears, mother. But I'd slept with like every other person in the room. And I thought, I can't sit here and discuss relationships. Knowing that I've had a relationship with most of the people here. So I stopped going.
Relationship or relations?
I'd had relationships with 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so are you saying you were a heartbreaker?
No, I got my heart broken.
Oh.
I only broke one heart. The rest of them broke my heart.
Oh. I'm sorry.
And they will be listening. That's 30 years of resentment there.
Okay, so if you want to say anything horrible, say it now.
No, I love them. So, yeah, that's why I stopped going to the bookshop. But through that, I found out about the Ace of Clubs, and I found out, through about other sort of lesbian nights and bars and everything. And there were a lot back then.
Yeah.
There was a lot of choice.
Yeah. And so we've talked about you like just kind of leaping out of the closet rather than being like, oh, hey, here I am. Why do you think there was that enthusiasm? It's the wrong word, but...
I think it was me. I'd finally realised who I was. I've always been kind of a party person, sort of very, wanted to party, wanting to have fun. That's always been my sort of personality. Apparently I was a very happy baby, according to my mother. But that's kind of, I've always wanted to have fun. My dad was a DJ when I was growing up. So he was like the old 1970s, early 80s DJ. He had the platforms and the bling and the... he would play the records going, this is for the ladies. And so I was brought up with a lot of partying and a lot of fun. And I think that was my personality. I came out and that was it. I was just so happy. There wasn't this nagging, oh my God, I'm a bit weird. Mm-hmm. Why am I looking at that woman and feeling differently to how I should be feeling? Yeah. This isn't the right feeling. And I came out and that was it. I was like, yay, now I'm going to party even harder. And I did. I just hit the scene. I just went for it.
Is there part of that was London, the impact of London like, and the
Yeah.
anonymity and the excitement of the city.
I don't know how anonymous I was. It was, hey, I'm here. I'll sleep with you, and you. I wasn't that bad. So I think that was it.
But by anonymity, I mean, like, you're not going to run into your parents whilst you're holding hands with a woman walking down the road.
I think so. I think it was. I'd only just moved to London. I'd only been in London for less than a year.
Yeah.
So that was it. So I think it was the moving to London. It was a whole new scene, and boom, I'm a lesbian. Let's chuck all that in a pot and go and have a fun time.
These are the ingredients you need to make a lesbian.
And also, as I said, I was working at the BBC at the time as well, and that was a big. There was a massive gay scene to the point that I was one of the. This is how much I came out. I was one of the founder members of the BBC Lesbian and Gay Group. And there were about 90 members. So I just went for it. I just got involved in everything. And I was open. And I will never hide it. That's it. Take it or leave it.
That's brilliant to hear. So you'd been out on the scene for about a year by the time you first went to Ace of Clubs.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe a little bit less, but yeah. My memory is not particularly good. So I'm giving you sort of rough dates
Approximates.
here. Approximates.
I'm good with that. But so why did that club in particular stick out in your mind?
That was the club to go to. That was the one that was going every Saturday, and I'd heard lots of people talk about it. So I went, and they said, Saturday night, it's women only. And I went, right, I'm there. Where's my coat?
But after all these years, and out of all the clubs that you'd gone to in that time, why is it the one that sticks out?
That was mainly the main club, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. There were lots of bars and lots of bar nights and everything, but that was the sort of the club.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'd go to like Heaven or, some of the gay guys' places and everything. But that was kind of... I think that was the club night. There were probably other clubs, but I became narrow-minded at one point. I just went there. There were dance nights at the Lesbian and Gay Centre. But that was it. That was kind of the place to go.
And so, were men allowed?
No.
So strictly no men?
No men.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. I don't even think there were any trans women, actually. No. It was women and gay women. I don't even think there were any bisexuals. We're talking old school lesbian.
We talked briefly about the security guard. Is there anyone else from that time that sticks out in your mind?
There were certain people there that were... It was very interesting, actually. There was a woman that used to sit near where I was sitting, and I used to look at her, and she was quite butch. She was a butch woman. And I thought she was butch anyway. And I used to look at her thinking, you are really miserable. And she knows this, so this will be no surprise when she hears it. And she used to look at me, apparently, and say she thought I was a bit of a sort of cocky, sort of,
upstart.
Full of my... Upstart,
yeah,
full of myself. And we met... in 2006, and we started talking, and at one point we started talking about the Ace of Clubs, and I showed her a picture of me from the Ace of Clubs, and she looked at it and went, oh my God, that was you. And then she told me who she was. So this woman that I'd been sort of screwing my nose up 30 years ago, I suddenly met, and we're good friends.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we went out for dinner last night together. So, yeah, I mean, there were various characters. There were regulars. It was a regular place. Mm-hmm. There were people that you saw down there every single Saturday. And we would all meet down there, And we would start off going. We would meet in the Vesper Lounge or First Out or something. And then you would head on down to Piccadilly. So you'd meet at First Out, which was at Tottenham Court Road.
Yeah.
Or Vesper Lounge, which was a bar opposite First Out. Thanks to Crossrail, it's all disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just had the regulars. It was a Saturday night. Let's meet for a drink, and then go off to the Ace.
And so, did you have a regular crew that you met up with?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
Who's
it
on
was
that?
it was all the women from the bookshop.
Oh, okay. So, look, and this included the women you'd had relationships
yeah.
with.
But so yeah, no, everybody just hung out and just went to the same because we were all similar age and everything. So we'd end up going, and then I moved into a lesbian house share in Camberwell. It was amazing. Apparently, it had been a lesbian house share for about 20 years before I moved in.
Oh, wow.
So from the sort of early 70s or something.
Yeah.
And there were 5 of us. And at the weekend, there would be 10 of us. That's another story. And so not only was it my usual bunch of friends that we'd built up really good relationships and everything, good friendships, there would be the women that I lived with in Camberwell. So we would all go out sort of en masse and everything. And it was a weekend adventure. It was a regular sort of thing.
And so how do you navigate the minefield of all of those physical and emotional connections that had existed at some point? I'm basically saying, how did
Put it in simple English.
I'm trying to be
I've had a long day.
I'm trying to make it all sound smart. So basically, right, when everyone has slept with everyone, how do you keep your emotions from going all over the place and from people getting pissed off at people?
No. It's called lesbian drama.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a specific thing. Okay.
Tell
me about it.
It's a specific thing. So I don't know if you've heard of lesbian drama.
No, tell me more.
Lesbian drama is you've got drama.
Yeah.
So we've got couples arguing, and then you've got lesbian drama.
Okay.
So that's the next stage up. And if lesbian drama starts, you get your hard hats on and run.
You say, I'm sorry, you're right, and you back away.
No, you just go for it. I didn't really get into a lot of arguments, to tell you the truth. I would steer clear of them. I wasn't a lesbian drama person. There were a couple of people that didn't like me, but I think that's because I slept with their girlfriends, so, maybe they had right. So maybe they had a good reason to be pissed off with me. But I didn't really get involved with that. But there would be a fight at the Ace of Clubs every week.
A physical fight?
A physical fight every week. There would be something going on. You slept with my girlfriend. Woo, here's a glass. Yeah, and there would be some good fights. And what you do is you would just sit back and watch, or ignore them and dance.
But then, so for you, with these people that you're talking about that had beef with you, were you quite good at just shrugging that off, or?
Yeah, I'd just go and bounce off somewhere else.
Okay, because it's such a small space.
Yeah.
That if you've got all this drama going on, that could be quite stressful.
No, not really.
No? Just fuck them.
Yeah. That was basically it. There's a fight going on. I mean, you'd move out of the way. If the fight came towards you, you'd kind of move to one side a little bit. But you wouldn't... no, you just go, they're fighting. If it got really bad, the security person would come down. I don't remember a lot of that. There would just be some shouting and some punching and some pushing and some glasses and, little stuff.
Dramatic storming out.
But it was very, lesbian drama is full on. Funny thing is, where I've been DJing for, since 2006, I was doing a club night one night, and there were 2 women having an argument, and there were 2 women that used to argue at the Ace.
Oh,
wow. I said to one of my mates, I wonder if they were in the same argument they had 30 years ago. Yeah, it was very smoky, a lot of drama, a lot of dancing. I had some mean dance moves then.
Oh.
Because my knees were younger. I had some very corny dance moves as well, I tell you.
Well, who doesn't? Do you know when the Ace of Clubs closed?
I think it was the mid-90s, because I stopped going because I met someone that didn't really go. And lesbians are very good at moulding together. becoming one person.
Uh-huh.
And moving in with each other after 2 weeks. No, I didn't do that. I waited 4 weeks.
Oh, 4 weeks. That's fine.
So if I was with somebody who didn't want to go to the club,
Yeah.
I stopped going. And I met someone a few years later, and they were just coming out, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to take you somewhere," and it had closed.
Oh,
It had
okay.
gone, and I was gutted.
And so you
Absolutely
gutted. So you didn't even know.
I didn't even know it had closed.
Oh, wow.
I was devastated.
So
because it was my home.
So how did you find out then?
I just turned up and someone said, "No, it's closed."
And there was a whole bunch of gentlemen in there with...
I just turned up and they said, "No, it's not here anymore."
Oh, gosh.
And I kind of did the rounds. And
Heartbreaking.
didn't even think of investigating or seeing if it was there. I just assumed it would be there.
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah, that was it. So I'm getting emotional.
Oh, and so you just never had an opportunity to...
Yeah, so I was there for a few years, every Saturday. And I think it was going for about 10 years. Yeah, started sort of mid-80s, to about mid-90s. Yeah, so it was definitely 10 years. It may have been a little bit more, but yeah, it was very full on, lots of drama.
And lesbian drama as well as drama, or...?
Just lesbian drama.
Just lesbian drama.
Full on lesbian drama. And lots of dykes thinking they were cool doing bad dance moves. And that was me.
So my next question was going to be...
what's the dance move?
Yes. Can you explain your dance moves? No. What do you think that club had that no other club since then has had? But maybe it's just dodgy dance moves.
It was, I think, I can't compare it to, because I run a club night now, which is the same music.
The exact same music?
Exactly the same music, yeah. It was, for me, I think, a coming out place. I was young. I wanted to do everything that the London women's scene had to offer. And it was just special. I'd literally just come out. I was a young lesbian, new on the London scene. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to get out there and dance and network.
Network, because it's inverted commas.
So I tell my boss when I go to place, I'm just going to network. And he goes, yes. So, yeah, there was a lot of networking. But I think that's the difference between then. I was a different, I was a younger sort of, I wanted to get out. So it was a kind of a different person. And I'm not actually too keen on the women only scene now. Not a big fan.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think partly it's because I believe that society is made up of lots of different people, whatever their gender identification is. So I'm not too keen on separate places now. It was all, I think that all started from when I went to America. I lived over there for a couple of years and I became involved in a very much a more queer scene. And there was a night over there. It was a night called Dyke Night, actually. But it was for lesbians, but it was also for trans guys who felt that they still wanted to hang out with the lesbians and stuff. So I got that introduction to... I was being social with trans people where I hadn't been. I came across this, what seemed to me to be more of a mixed scene, where I was meeting people that identified as trans. And my mate came across to visit me. And I said, when I go back to London, I want to find something like that. I want to find something like that night. I don't want to do Soho anymore. And she said, I know where to take you. And she took me to Bar Whatever. And Ingo would be very pleased to know that I've mentioned Bar Whatever. And that was it. It kind of just, it was what I wanted. I'd grown up and I wanted a different scene where there were so many different people and I didn't care how those people identified. And obviously there was respect. And that was the one, love and respect. And that was it. So I I don't do the women's scene. There's a place for the women. There's a need for the women's scene. I go out there every now and again, and I do it, and I DJ on the women's scene, and it's nice. It's really nice. But there are women that would only do the women's scene, and they won't come to any of my nights or whatever because it's going to be mixed and stuff like that. So
and that's like now.
Yeah, it still happens.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it still happens. Still happens where people go, oh, they're going to be men there. Oh, they're going to be this there, and I go, well, yeah. Because that's the sort of night I wanted to create. I wanted to create a night, didn't matter.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I've even got straight friends coming.
Oh, well, that's a step too far.
In fact, they said to me, oh, can we come? And I went, of course. But they
so
didn't know.
adorable.
It was so lovely. Are we allowed? Yes, you are. That was it.
But we don't want it in our faces. That's
No. Don't flaunt it. So I moved away from the women's scene. But back then, I'd come out. I'd literally come out. I was 20 years old. I just moved to London the year before. That was it. And it was music. And having grown up with a dad who was a DJ, I was totally into my music. And I still, there was Liquid Gold, Dance Yourself Dizzy. That was my favourite song, and I had a dance routine to that with my mate Alex.
So talk to me about this dance.
We used to do this weird, when ABBA do that thing where they do back-to-back.
Oh,
they
yeah.
do that thing
yeah.
back-to-back. Is it Waterloo or one of the songs where they sing back-to-back and look to the side? Me and my friend Alex, somehow, actually I think there was the words in it back-to-back. And when those words came into the song, we turned around and put our backs to each other. It's very sad. And I used to do, so there was Liquid Gold, Dance Yourself Dizzy, and every time I hear it or play it, and I play it sometimes, I think of the Ace. And there was the other one where I would get down. So I'd be dancing with a woman, and I'd get down on the floor in front of her, kneel down in front of her. So, and then spring back up. So I drop to my knees in front of you. And, you're some woman that I'm trying to impress. Drop to my knees in front of you and then lever myself up by my legs. I can't do that anymore. I did try and do it about a year ago. And my best mate was there and she thought it was hysterical. I got stuck on the floor and I had to lever myself up by my arm.
Shimmy up.
Yeah. And I just broken my arm, I think, as well. I was just recovering from a broken arm. So, no, I didn't have but that's what I used to do. I would dance in front of you, drop to my knees, and then just lift myself up.
Oh,
by my legs, not by my arms. And then just carry on dancing. And I thought that was cool.
It is cool.
It worked.
Yeah.
So there were various dance moves and stuff.
But so that kind of brings us back full circle anyway. So we started talking about the difference between the queer scene and the gay and lesbian scene. And although at the time that was kind of what you needed, well, basically you just wanted to shag lots of women by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
Now there's something different.
Yeah. The scene then was more political as well. It was Section 28.
Yeah.
When I first moved to London, the first thing I did was, one of the first things I did was, after I came out, was go on the Section 28 march. So it was more political. And there was more separatism. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very, very different scene. A lot of the scene today, people talk about gender and non-binary and, identification, and there wasn't anything like that. There were gay men, lesbians, trans, and that was it. And they didn't mix, hardly. Yeah. Occasionally the gay men and the lesbians would get together, but they didn't really feel comfortable together. So it was a completely, completely different scene.
Yeah.
Completely. And more political as well. Very uniformed. It was the way you dressed, very political, and more separatism. Fabulous. I was young. All I wanted to do was party. that was it. And now I'm older and I still want to party.
But you just got to take care of your knees, okay?
I have.
Did you ever go to the Ace of Clubs? If you did, I would love to hear from you. Please tell me your stories and share any photos that you might have through social media. You can find me on most platforms, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, with the username KAndersonMusic. And if you want to hear more from DJ Jo Bunny, you can follow her at facebook.com/DJ-Jo-Bunny, and Lavender Nights can be found at facebook.com/LavenderNightsLDN. Lost Spaces is not only a podcast, but a concept record as well. I've been writing songs about queer venues and the people who used to live their lives there, and will be releasing songs over the next year. You can hear the first single, Well Groomed Boys, on all streaming platforms. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to Lost Spaces, leave a review on the iTunes store, or just tell people who you think might be interested about it. I'm Kay Anderson, and you have been listening to Lost Spaces.